Hi guys, Shobik here. Welcome back to YouTube channel. So from today onwards, we have decided to start a kind of roadmap playlist for the DSA. So majorly on this, we will. So this is the diagrams on high levels that I have prepared, and we'll mostly try to cover uh, all of the topics that is like mentioned here, and now this times we will go to a little bit strategy wise, like on high levels. If I can quickly explain, like what are the three major components that we have at, like we have this tier 1 components where basically we will discuss the fundamentals and we will master those first, and eventually we will go to intermediate and then like advanced topics. So on intermediate, we majorly focus on the core interview topics that generally like companies like on past basically the data we have at, like on general FAANG based companies. These are the common trends of questions that mostly companies are asked, and obviously like I have to say the problems is not going to be exactly on what we are going to practice. We will build our foundations on the base question that you can't skip for sure, and post that, like when you have a good hands-on on that particular topics and deep level understanding, then eventually for sure you will be in very good state to tackling like any kind of problems that are based on uh, top of that the base problems that we will solve. So yeah, we will majorly focus on these three pillars, and now let's just quickly go through like how what are the like foundations, like if anyone's like is planning to start a DSA on 2025, or it's going to be applicable for upcoming years also. So these are, I have to say, the common 5 pillars of a DSA roadmap ideally should looks like, where we on the very first we will build our foundations, then we will do our strength on the DSA data structures, and then we will do some algorithms, like generally most common algorithms that like on FAANG based companies target for that algorithms we will target, and post that we will eventually solve some of the advanced patterns based problems. So why I have considered the patterns based problems in an advanced topic. So on data structures or algorithms problems, when you know this particular data structures and algorithms, mostly some 2 to 3 or at max to max 5 variants problems, you can say, like is going to be, if you are solved, then eventually like the follow-ups question or the more wrapped question over that you can eventually be able to handle. There should not be any issue. But this pattern based problems, I consider this as is a kind of hard topic for sure, because there you have to, every problems that we solve in this pattern based problems, it has a predefined patterns or a template that we have to remember. Otherwise, like on 99% cases, if you are trying to define that patterns on the interview, and you will eventually mess up your interview for sure, because these are very tightly coupled with the patterns, how you can recall or remember those patterns. So we will explain the patterns in very details, very childish way, so that everyone's we are on the same boat, same path, can understand that patterns, and we will follow for rest of the topics for sure. And post that we have some interview strategy. So on interview strategy, I think I have on last playlist I have done this for 100 days coding challenge. There we have solved 100 different kind of problems, more than 100 plus, I have to say. So we have solved that on daily practice, that we can't stop for sure, but that you keep on doing based, like because that actually give you the upper edge on when at the same time you can learn these particular topics, and you can practice those daily questions that we were doing. So because why I am stating that, because we have to go both on BFS and DFS, like our learning should be on depth also and breadth also. So when we are solving, let's suppose we put a particular topic of graphs that we have decided to solve, then with this particular roadmaps that we have it, then if we are for sure follow our roadmap, and eventually we will solve on very depth graph problems. But daily practice is giving your brain an upper edge, so that you can, when you are focusing to learn a particular topics in depth, So on that times, your brain can think whatever the other topics you have already covered, that topics also is you are not going to forget. So that's the reasons daily practice is mandatory. We can't skip that daily practice. Whomever has already started, they are on the very correct boat. So you guys have to just continue. And those who are not started, I will highly suggest like to start the daily practice, because that actually help you on upper edge on solve different varieties of problems. And on daily practice, I would highly suggest to put a timer and within a time bound try to solve the problems. So on real interview, you will in the part of time bound situations you have to react, right? So that's the reason try to always solve problems in time bound scenarios. Yes. So and we have weekly schedule. So on weekly schedule, I will mostly try to focus you guys to attend the contest that LeetCode or other platforms organize on weekends, specific ways, like on every Sunday 8 a.m. LeetCode has do its weekly challenges. So this kind of weekly challenges also I would highly encourage to you guys to do active participations. Yes. So that on the high levels, the roadmap we have it. So now just quickly go to the components that we have. So first, on very first weeks, we will majorly focus the foundational topics. So on foundational topics, every data structures or algorithmic problems, if you want to solve, then your mathematics topics, basic mathematics foundations, that is highly needed on at least data DSA perspective, that particular thing. So you will majorly focus, but it has a more of that, the very good you are in mathematics, the great you are as a problem solver also. So on mathematics there is no boundary at all, but for to solve at least this specific set of questions, so that's the reasons I have created a boundary. So these particular topics, there is no excuse you can skip those, right? There is no excuse you can skip those. So on foundation topics, the two pillars it has, first one is the mathematics, and the second one is the time and space complexity. So on time and space complexity, I assume you guys, if you done your study on your, as I remembered, it's on second year first sem syllabus. So time and space complexity, like there are very vast mathematical expressions people are doing entire time and space complexity analysis, but here the expectation is the code that you are going to represent, the data structure, the algorithmic final code that you are going to submit to an interview, you are on bigger terms, you should be able to explain the time complexity and the space complexity of your entire code, the variables that you are using, what is the maximum space they are going to allocate at very odds case, what is the time it's going to be take at the extreme edge cases, the constraint that a particular problem have it. You should be very thorough on explaining those. So that is the expectations on time and space complexity. No one is going to ask you to derive why merge sort is going to be a take of big of in log n. So no, the expectation is not like this. No one is going to ask you to derive why it is n log n. The expectation is you should know if you are going to use a merge sort of to sort a particular array, the time complexity on entire things is kind of a big of n log n. So that is the expectation. You should know this. So that is the on big O analysis, you should predict it. So you should have a good understanding of when you are going to state it's a big of 1, what actually it's mean, big of log n, big of n, big of n log n, big of n square, big of 2 to the power n, big of n factorials. This kind of like complexity, whatever the code you write, you should predict its time and space complexity. That is the very basic expectations after the entire code that you are going to provide to an interview, right? So that's the reasons you can't skip this time and space complexity. But I'm pretty sure, like we all have, if we are able to provide our data structures or algorithms correctly, then 99% cases that particular individual should predict their code time and space complexity for sure, right? Yes. So that is on time and space complexity parts, and on now mathematics, we will majorly focus. These are the very common patterns that this FAANG kind of companies or very big tech giants are generally like to us. So the very first is the prime numbers. Now on prime numbers, we have the very popular algorithms, that is sieve of erastosis. Then we have count primes. So this is on the prime part. So sieve of erastosis is a must known topics. Then we have GCD, LCM, Euclidean algorithms, GCD of strings. So these are also some commonly asked interview problems. Then we also have fundamental theorems. So these are kind of advanced topics. So I have not put them, but yeah, if time permits, then we will also cover that also. there is no issue. And also try to make some brush up on your permutation combinations number theory that you have already learned on your higher secondary classes, class 11 12 that you have learned. So just do a number theory revisions based very specifically permutations combinations topics, because that are one of the topics that is highly used on mathematics based problems, right? Yeah, so that is on foundations ones that we'll majorly target on at least first 1 to 2 weeks. But again, like we may not be like very consecutively follow, like upload the videos and consecutively do the problems, but I will share a cheat sheet with you guys where every problems are listed, and every problems are listed along with its difficulty things are listed. So I will provide you that sheet after that video. I will explain you that sheet also after that video. So stay tuned. We will do a bonus tips, like bonus sheet I have prepared for you, a kind of cheat sheet that you must follow. So there is a very limited problems I have selected. So we'll go to that, and when we have completed a particular questions, and I will majorly upload a detailed video on that we are generally following on our last 100 days playlist, and also like some of the important topics that I as I remembered, we are basically weekly basis we are uploading. So on the same quality, detailed time and space complexity analysis, detailed intuitions, you guys are going to get it for sure. And eventually when we complete, there is a sections we have created where we put our video link there, so that like on future you guys can refer also. So just to do a quick revisions before just of the very previous night of your interview. So that particular videos, right? Now the next things we have arrays and strings. So on arrays and strings, so this is I have to say one of the most important topics on any interview perspective. There are, first one is 2 pointers, and on 2 pointers we have this set of topics like 2 sum, 3 sum, sorry, container water. So these are the common, very common problems on 2 pointers. And then we have the big giants, that is of sliding window. So these are, I have to say, one of the mostly asked problems that on my personal experience on interview interviewer basically like for. So on sliding window, I think you guys are already aware this max subarray, this sliding window max. So there are two variants. We will majorly focus on high levels. There is a fixed size sliding window, and we have a variable size sliding window. So these two are basically covered. One of the fixed size sliding window, and another one is the variable size sliding window. Correct. Then we have this linked list. So on linked list we have basic operations on this I have to say is more than sufficient. Reverse linked list, merge to sorted linked list. So these are I actually feels the most hardest problems on linked list that can be formed. Reverse linked list, cycle detections. Maybe I missed that cycle detection. So cycle detections, we have here tortoise method and starting point of the cycle. So these are 2 to 3 problems that I remembered. So I have put only the mostly important things. So reverse linked list in a K group. So we will solve the most hardest versions of that, and if you are going to get on a easier versions, you will going to very good to solve that particular purpose, right? Then on same data structures, we have 2 more pillars, that is of trees and hash tables. On hash tables, I don't have like much to focus, but hash tables is kind of a dictionary, or on your particular programmings, it can be a hash map, whatever it is. So this I think we are generally using on daily life also. So there is no predefined questions on hash tables or hashing based things, but this we are going to cover on other topics, because other topics we need a data structures which can store a key value kind of thing. So as per my best to best rememberations, I am able to recall like these are the very common problems there where we actually must need a hash tables for sure. So 2 sum, group anagrams, LRU cache. So these are the few topics that I remembered. We will go to that also. So that is on hash tables. Now on trees is a kind of non-skippable topics, I have to say, for any interview perspective, because binary trees, binary search trees, there are a various categories of problems that are going to be asked. But I have make it like very choosy DSA sheets where basically we are not going to, so when you have to very first cover all the variants, then you just jump on this particular sheet and you can just revise your all the topics, because I am not going to go to the extreme difficult problems of any particular topics, because that is eventually on very 80 to 90% cases is not going to be happen. And so I am majorly focused on 80% cases, the problems on a particular topics that you are going to face on interview, not on the very easy part and not on the very toughest part. So it is a kind of medium hard. So that particular questions I have tried to include it, and as per my best my interview experiences also, I have basically collapsed those and tried to make that sheet. So then we have this tree traversal. So on this tree traversals, we have in order, pre-order. So we will solve at least a single variance in order, and eventually you guys will definitely able to solve pre-order, post-order, whatever the traversal on this order basis people are going to ask you. Then we have this level order traversal and zigzag traversal. So that is another patterns, where so level order traversal is kind of a complete different pattern. So I have decided to go to that on a different part. So in order, pre-orders is kind of a recursive approach, and level order traversal is kind of a queue based techniques that we are generally following. Yes, so now we have done trees with this. Then we completed hash tables, and this mostly of the data structures part. The questions can be formed on that. Then on algorithms part, we have two major most important pillars of DSA, that is of one is graphs and another one is DP, that is of dynamic programs. Mostly people will stuck on this particular two topics. So on graphs, we will definitely cover all the graph traversal algorithms. Either it is BFS, DFS, whatever it is, we will cover number of islands, clone graphs. So these are some of the very common problems that you are going to face on your interview. So we will try to build a common patterns to solve this kind of graph traversal problems, and eventually we will solve this particular category of problems. And then we have some predefined algorithmic problems in graphs, that is of shortest paths. On shortest paths we have Dijkstra's algorithms, then we have network delay time. So this is kind of a must to must, like there are some basically category of problems which basically you have to know that particular algorithms. You can't define that algorithms in interview, because on 99% cases if you don't know, then you are not going to make this interview on the positive side. So that particular algorithmic based graph problems, so that I will try to cover on this particular topics. So yes, that mostly on the two particular patterns of problems that on very high levels that you are going to face on graphs. Then we have this dynamic programming, that is of DP. So on DP, the first pillars is basic DP patterns, climbing stairs, house robber. So this is kind of a 1D DP. And then we have some classic problems that are very commonly asked, that is of 0-1 knapsacks, coin change. So based on the problems, I have not categorized them in kind of a 1D, 2D or 3D DP. The tables that I am going to prepare, I am not going to categorize that, but I have categorized that based on the patterns we are going to use on that particular problem. So these are this 4 to 5 problems, so you can't miss. But yeah, we will eventually solve more than this. But yeah, these 4 to 5 problems we are not to skip for sure. Now on the third pillars of the algorithms is this backtracking. So I remembered like two big startup that I have interviewed for, they are majorly focused on this backtracking, and why this is important, because backtracking is completely work on recursion. So and you guys should know this, that dynamic programming is nothing but your recursive code need to get tabularized, right? Then it is a DP. So on backtracking, we will majorly focus in-depth recursions for sure, and we will try to solve most difficult backtracking problems exist in the world, I have to say, on interview perspective for sure. So one is the subset generations, so subset 2 and the combination sum. So these are the kind of couple of problems that I can think of that subset generations, and then we have the constraint based problems. So on constraint based problems, we have n-queens 1, 2 and the Sudoku solvers. These are the must to must problems that we have to be prepared for sure on backtracking. And yeah, we will eventually understand the digest the actual how recursive functions actually work. So any of this particular graph DP is completely based on recursions. These three pillars, graph, DP and backtracking, is completely based on the recursions. If your recursion is strong, then this particular all the topics is kind of a cakewalk for for you for sure. So graph DFS is completely a recursive code, right? So we can't skip this backtracking. We have to be very strong on any backtracking problems, right? So then we have some advanced topics. Advanced topics, I am just named it as an advanced, but it is not an advanced for sure. So these 2 pointers advanced, I will majorly cover some of the very common problems that maybe I don't have exact plans of that advanced patterns, what we can put, like every problems algorithms and data structure that we have discussed on backtracking graph DP, every problems is kind of it's difficulty based, it can be at advanced, and the follow-ups that you are going to get on a particular problems as very simple problems can be a advanced problems for sure. So but for the sake of simplicity, I have put these 2 pointers advanced. I will try to find some good problems on these 2 pointers which you have to know the patterns, else it is kind of a impossible to define on that interview. And bit manipulations, we have to practice some good amount of problems to basically master on this particular topic, right? So that is on the high levels our flowchart is looking. So this part we have already discussed, right? So yes guys, so I know it on high levels looking very complex, very dangerous, and when I made it, I also eventually are kind of scared with it, but yeah, we will, but it's an easy for sure, and you guys also going to be on the same boat. You are all eventually say the same when we are basically cover all the topics that we have discussed. So now we will going to do a kind of a strategic things that I guess you guys are already getting. Previously I have considered that you guys should know all the topics, and you before of your interview you just to solve a versatile set of problems. So that's the reasons we have completed our 100 days problems, 100 days code challenges, right? But now I feel that, so that is the most demanded and most common ask from you guys side, like bring a roadmap kind of things where we are basically solve the problems in strategic manner, so that's the reasons I have bring this to my roadmap for sure, my own roadmap also, and that is you guys roadmap for sure, for to make you guys to be placed in a very good place where you guys are all dreaming. So right, so now we can just quickly discuss the sheet that we have at. So that is the cheat sheet that we have prepared, and this eventually like covers all the problems that we basically saw on our these diagrams. So I will share these diagrams to you guys for sure, so that on high levels you guys can play with it and basically take the high levels components that we are going to cover, and these are the paths from 1 2 3 4. These are the paths we are trying to follow. I will share this diagrams for you guys, and this sheet though for sure. So on this sheet I have basically captured all the problems that on the topics that we have discussed. So see here, we have this quick sort, heap sort. So every interview perspective, any particular problems that you are going to face for sure on an interview, I will try to make it very precise, very concise. So here you can see, like, if so there are on interview strategy, you guys can ignore for now on very first go, because that are some company specific targets that I have built in. So these are some company specific targets, but before of that, this is the my own topics that I have prepared, and we will eventually solve all of the problems of this topic for sure, right? So there are, if we can scroll down, so we have approx 95 problems that we have to solve, and this, when you solve this all the variants of this particular 95 variants of topics problems, then after that you guys can tell me, now you are going to get that confidence internally from your own side, that yes, I am feeling I am ready for to make it happen for any company. So that is the things I will share this sheet to you guys for sure. I will put this to our video descriptions, so that those who are basically already have a good hands-on or completed the fundamentals, they can start on the problems, start on the cheat sheet to make themselves to be on start as soon as they can, as soon as it permit to them. So you guys can start with this, and yeah, we have 2 more columns, like this video tutorials column. So on video tutorials, when we completed a particular video with the details understanding, I will put the video links here. I will going to upload update the sheet with every day when we have completed a particular problems. Accordingly, I will update this particular sheet. So at the end of a 95 days, I can't going to commit, it is going to be happen to exactly 95 days. It can take 100 days, 200 days, but after 100 days, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months later, we have all the topics to get covered, and we have the video, the respective videos also to refer to ourselves on just of the before night of an interview, so that we can recall, yes, we did exactly this on this particular problems to solve that. Yes, so that is the high levels plans for to cover the roadmaps that we have built in. And then when you in a good shape, or you are going to opt in for an interview, so before of that, I would highly suggest to you guys to go to this, take some mock DSA interview, so that you are in the good state to get the confidence that yes, with time bound I can solve any versatile problems that I am going to face. I am very comfortable, very much comfortable to solve it. So yes, I will majorly make it so I will majorly encourage to you guys to take it very end when you have covered all the topics, or if you have already covered those topics, now your interview is knocking at the door. On that times, you can take this mock DSA interview. So here I have attached the link, so here you can go to these links, and you can book a slot, and we will definitely do a good DSA mock for sure, right? So that we can do, right? But I would, again, I highly encourage to go to cover all the topics first, and if you have a good understanding, only after that you should take some mock interviews. So that is my personal suggestions to all of you guys. Try to cover as much as the topics that we have basically. So this particular sheet is much more problem. So on the diagrams we have on the high levels just describe the components, but this sheet has the actual in depth of every particular problems that might not be highlighted on the sheets, but the topic is there on the components, but is present for sure on our sheet. So I will share the sheet to you guys. You can download the sheet, and also you can access. I will upload in Google Drive and share it, provide you that permissions, and so that you guys can access those, and eventually when we have completed a particular video tutorials for that particular problems, I will for sure update that particular video links for here also, so that on later we all can refer this, right? Yes guys, so that is on the high levels the plans we have. I guess you guys are super excited for this, and I am also. So yes guys, so that is on the high levels that the plans we have to be for the next 2 to 3 months, and I think I have already committed to you guys. We will do some infra levels good hands-on on Spring Boot that we will do parallelly with this. So for this I am basically doing some kind of upskilling on this, so that I can provide you some solid contents. So that's the reason I am doing some good levels of upskilling of myself to do on LLD HLD topics, so that on infra also, so that I can bring you guys to the best content for sure. But yeah, for this we can start it from now onwards. So there is no delay for this particular initiative. We will start this for now onwards, because on problem solving I have that much confidence that we should start from now onwards, right? So yes guys, so that's on the high levels. I think you guys are super excited, and if that is so, I would from now onwards I would highly suggest to you guys to do the subscribe, and please turn on the notifications, and share the videos to your friend circles who are also on the same boat of preparing their hardest journey of any interview of their dream companies they are doing to do the preparations. So I highly suggest to share this particular video to all of your friend circle, and now onwards please turn on the notification, and please do the subscription, so that you are not going to miss a single video for now, right? Because this particular problems that we have gisted here, the 95 problems, this is we all must have. There is no excuses allowed to this particular topics. So yes guys, so let's see where we are going to go with the next 2 to 3 months with this particular initiative. And with this note, I am going to close this particular video, and if you guys like this particular video, please share the videos that I have already explained, and let's meet to the next video with some good problems from this particular sheet. So yes guys, that's it for today. Let's meet with our next video to all of you guys. So bye guys, bye.